Chapter 20 Profile Share via Email Report Story. Chapter 29 There for You. He entered the school campus, having a gloomy aura surrounding his head. The thought of not seeing Ochako in a long time is truly heartbreaking for him. Not hearing her voice makes him not want to go to school anymore. As he entered the classroom, inside was rather bright and full of smiles from each of his classmates. Wished he had those too. It was rather a long day for Izuku in class. He felt bored and lazy to do stuffs or to even study. He didn't even want to study at all. The teacher was explaining this and that in their class and Izuku wasn't paying attention or even getting anything at all in his head. He showed such an apathetic look at the teacher and sometimes gazed to the window. Midoriya. Izuku flinched as he looked away from the window to the direction of the voice. It appeared to be Hagakure who called him. He started to frown a bit at her. He actually thought that was Ochako who called. It was all Ochako in his head. Why yeah, he responded so blandly. She replied, "You look kinda down the weather. Is everything?" He widened his eyes and immediately smiled, embarrassingly as he fidgeted his hands. "And no, everything is fine." She hooded her eyes, not buying the answer. "It's about Ochako, isn't it?" Izuku's eyes soon slowly relaxed as he heard that name again, but it made him face reality once again. He showed an upset expression as he averted her gaze to the floor. She sighed at him. "Don't be sad like that. It's not like she's completely gone, right? It's just that you guys won't see each other for a long time." He glanced at her. I know. But I don't know. You're literally not making sense." He sighed and looked back down to the ground. Hagakure furrowed her brows as if she was so done with him already. "Midoriya, seriously, do you think Ochako would be happy to see you acting like this right now?" And it hit him. He sure was pretty sad that Ochako wasn't here with him now, but if he were to have that feeling while she was gone, what would she feel about it? He knew that he and Ochako will see each other again. Even how long it takes. He will see her again. He was just thinking nonsense in his head for being so depressed. He was such an idiot. H. Hagakure. What? T. Thanks. I didn't realize it. Hagakure gave off a smile. "No problem. Just don't be sad, alright?" Izuku quirked a smile and nodded back. It was lunchtime and Izuku entered the cafeteria alone to an empty table right after he bought his food from the canteen. All his friends are so busy with other stuffs with their partners while Izuku was just isolated. He sat down all by himself, grabbing a piece of his bread. He then looked around and saw a lot of people chattering and laughing here and there. He felt like a complete total outcast. This didn't feel right. Once again, there appeared a big gloomy aura around him as he munched up his meal. Promoted stories. You'll also like. Get a hint, will you? 3.4K32. Hey everyone. This is actually my first story, so I really apologize for any spelling, grammar mistakes. Completed. There will be bonus chapters, though. Related and not. A million reasons. Iswocha fanfic. Under. 70.6K988. Ochako Uraraka and Izuku Midoriya have always had feelings for each other, but they never wanted to admit it. They have always wanted to find opportunities to tell each. My feelings for you Iswocha short story. 30.9K587. Ochako Uraraka has been best friends with Izuku Midoriya since their first year at Ua High School. She has also had a crush on him since then, but has never told him. BU. A hero's love desire. 3.7K71. It's almost Valentine's Day and Izuku Midoriya, Deku is starting to realize that he has a crush on Ochako Uraraka, but he doesn't know if she feels the same way. He tries. I hate and love you. 249K 4.6K. An Izwocha fanfiction where Deku and Uraraka had a fight in kindergarten which led to something worse. But maybe they can be friends or perhaps more. Non-Quirko rated. Mania. Katsuki Bakugo. 162K 7.6K. Mania UA. High is the birthplace of legendary pro heroes and a bountiful source of memories. Memories are meant to be cherished. Memories are what make our lives. The 1 tilde Todoroki X reader, check mark. 774K 22.5K and quad. It's just, and quad. Her eyes were brimming with tears. No, please don't cry. I silently begged. I can't stand to see you hurt. And quad. I don't want to see any of. Good morning, Midoriya-kun. Izuku widened his eyes and looked up to see Iida waving at him as he sat down. Iida-kun. Welcome back. Iida smiled back at him as he set his lunch on the table. Thank you. Hey, Midoriya. Todoroki suddenly clinged his arms around Izuku, almost letting him have the urge to choke on his food. Why are you so lonely here? He sat next to him, along with Momo sitting along with him. Todoroki. Uraraka left already? He asked him. No wonder. Izuku scorned at him and looked away. Cheer up, Midoriya. We're still here for you. He grinned after that. Hey, everyone. Kaminari greeted as he sat down. Come on, Jiro. Jiro stood behind him, embarrassingly, as she slowly took a seat on the table with the rest of them. Good morning, guys. Then came along Suyu. I brought along Tokiyami-kun. The rest were then surprised with the newbie. Gee, good morning, Tokiyami-kun. Izuku greeted him. Tokiyami waved at all of them as he took a seat. He's a really nice person. Suyu told to all of them. Nice to have you, Tokiyami. Kaminari gave off a sweet grin at him as Tokiyami felt welcomed at the table. So, how's everything, Midoriya? Kaminari asked as he took a piece of bread from his tray and gave it to Jiro. Izuku answered, what do you mean? Kaminari looked over to Jiro. Eat, he said as Jiro refused, but Kaminari kept pushing the food to her mouth. He then looked back to Izuku. You know, Uraraka. Kaminari clicked his tongue as he looked over to Jiro again. You have to eat. Izuku frowned but suddenly smiled without showing the bit of sadness in him again. It's all right, we will see each other soon. Todoroki widened his eyes and nodded at him. I see, I'm surprised you're not sad or anything. Why would I be sad? Ochako wouldn't like that. Todoroki then out of the blue placed his hand on Izuku's shoulder. Midoriya, you call her by her first name too. Huh, Izuku looked over to Todoroki. I'm so proud of you and myself as well. He hooded his eyes in return. Good for you. Kaminari began to pout at Jiro. Jiro, he continued to offer the bread to Jiro. She still refused. I said I'm not hungry. But I don't want to see you not eat all the time, he whined as he begged for her acceptance. Please, just one. Jiro furrowed her brows and basically gave up. Fine. Just one. Kaminari smiled widely as he completed his mission. Yes, she took the piece of bread from him and slowly took a bite from it. As she started munching on it, Kaminari stared at her progress as he sweetly grinned at her, watching the view. Will you stop staring? She said embarrassingly, as she looked down timidly. He continued to grin at her. Then stop being so cute. Her blush became brighter as she shut her eyes shyly. She then stopped him by shoving the bread he gave into his mouth, now with his cheeks puffed with it. Jiro furrowed her brows and pouted at him. Stop saying these things. It's very embarrassing. Thank you, Tilda. He slurred with his mouth full with bread. He held onto he bread and took a bite. Idiot. You're so weird. She blushed even more and looked away from him. Momo, called Todoroki. The girl responded with a hum as she gazed at him. Her eyes bulged as she witnessed a French fry in Todoroki's mouth, asking for her to bite it off. It felt too embarrassing for her. Todoroki, and not here. She covered his mouth. He gently removed her hand away. Just a bite, he begged. She shook her head as she fidgeted her hands. And no, you're acting weird again. He frowned in response and nodded back sadly as he took the fry and ate it all by himself. Momo saddened her brows and pouted her mouth. She felt a bit mean back there. Todoroki was just being weird for her, but she couldn't help but feel so bad after seeing that disappointed look in his face. She sighed frustratingly and took a French fry from her tray. Todoroki, she said in a low tone. Todoroki looked over to her and widened his eyes as he saw her shutting her eyes tightly at him, showing a fry in her mouth, waiting for him to take a bite. After a few seconds, he snorted and laughed a little at how funny she looked. But at the same time, it was too adorable to see. She furrowed her brows, wondering why was there no response. He then took the fry out of her mouth, and quickly gave a small peck on her lips. Momo jolted her whole body with the sudden feeling in action. She bulged her eyes and her face began burning up as she stared at him eating the fry that came from her mouth. He then grinned at her. Thank you. She looked down timidly with her blush still sticking in her cheeks. And no problem. Guys, we are at school, you're not supposed to do these things here. Iida scolded them. Todoroki and Kaminari hooded their eyes at him, not caring. But it doesn't affect our studies. Kaminari fought. Why bother? Todoroki did as well. Iida then answered back. Kaminari, have you seen your grades? You better get it into at least a two-digit number to improve. And Todoroki, you are talking to the class president, for I have a higher position than you, which means that I have the rights to tell the teacher off from you too. The two felt defeated as they furrowed their brows and pouted their mouth. Iida smiled proudly. And we also have a new guest here. So don't let him feel uncom hmph. Iida-kun tilde, a pink-haired, Hatsume, hugged him tightly and planted kisses on his cheeks. I missed you, I missed you, I missed you. The rest of the group stared at the two with disbelief. Todoroki coughed. Isn't it right that I should always follow the class president? Kaminari joined along. Okay, you're just being hypocritical here, Iida. Iida's cheeks blushed red crimson. Hatsume, don't do these things. He told her as he tried his best to push her away. Get off of me, why? She whined. After all, we officially became a couple, right? So it's okay to do these things. She only made the hug tighter. Did I say that? Kaminari then looked over to Tokiyami, who was awfully so quiet today. Hey, Tokiyami, aren't you being a bit quiet here? Tokiyami stopped his chewing of his food and looked at him. He didn't answer back as he returned to eating his food once again. I've been ignored, Kaminari whined sadly. Tokiyami then tapped on Suyu's shoulders. Suyu went closer to him as he whispered something in her ear. What is he saying? Kaminari asked. He said that there is hair in your nose. Kaminari said out loud. What? He covered his whole mouth and furrowed his eyebrows, irritated. Jiro then snorted and covered her mouth as well to restrain her laughter. He's so bad, he said as if he was acting like a child. Why won't you tell me yourself? Tokiyami continued to eat his food peacefully, closing his eyes, making him look like he wasn't minding his business. Asui, why is he so mean? He isn't even saying anything, complained Kaminari, still covering his mouth. Suyu answered. Tokiyami is a very shy person. It's hard for him to talk to other people. So he only talks to you. Suyu nodded. Then came along Tokiyami whispering something in her ear again. He let go after that. He said that he only trusts me. So he doesn't trust me. The others laughed along while Izuku just smiled with the rest of them. He felt rather a bit envious. They looked so happy while he was still being annoying to himself by being depressed. He can't help it but just miss her so much. He wants her by his side right now. Tokiyami, watch your mouth, Kaminari said, angrily. Tokiyami once again whispered in Tsuyu's ear as she spoke for him. He said watch your nose, too. Jiro continued laughing, the hardest among them laughing as Kaminari gave off an irritated look at him. Tokiyami, you're too funny. Jiro laughed. Why yo? They were all then interrupted with a group of people who appeared in front of their table. Bakugo, come on, just give it, Kirishima said to the angry male. I know, I'm not stupid, you weird hair, he told angrily. Mina said as well. Do this for Uraraka, Izuku called. Bakugo. Bakugo scorned at him and handed him pieces of paper which looked like pictures. It's from Uraraka. She told me to give it to you and my family and I sent her off. What's this? He took the paper. What's that? What's that? Todoroki peeked out of curiosity. Show me, Kaminari said too as he leaned across the table to take a look as well. Izuku flipped the pictures around and immediately bulged his eyes as he saw the pictures. They were pictures taken secretly from Ochako from the date yesterday. One of them was when she took a secret selfie of her and Izuku at the back holding the toy gun before he won the prizes. Another was when they went to buy some takoyaki when he was ordering. And another was a solo picture of him when they were watching the sky before the fireworks began. When did she take this? The whole group screamed and made so much noises in the cafeteria. Midoriya, since when did those happen? Todoroki asked him. Did you kiss? Momo asked as well. Where did you go? Kaminari came along. Izuku stared at them embarrassingly as he hid the pictures away from them. He was speechless. Hey, leave the guy alone, weirdos. They just went on a date. Bakugo stopped them as they all calmed down. He then looked at Izuku. Seriously, what did you guys do? The green-haired male just chuckled nervously, didn't know what to answer them. Izuku arrived back home and rushed up inside his room. He landed on his bed and immediately took out the pictures and analyzed everything. After looking at each photo, he caught something that almost gave him a heart attack on the spot. It was a solo picture of Ochako in her yukata, holding the green bear. It seemed like she was at home and her parents must have taken a photo of her. This. He muttered. This is perfect, he said with a smile, raising the photo in the air, looking at it happily. He then went to his study table and opened the drawer to take out some scotch tape. After that, he stuck the photo on the side of his bed on the wall. He then took a few steps back to see the view. This is perfect, he said it again. There came along a knock on his bedroom door. Midoriya, it's Kaminari. He showed a puzzled look. Come in. The door opened and saw him standing in front of him. But he was standing there, with his big backpack on his back. Kaminari. Kaminari gave a rather sad expression and looked down. My mother called. Izuku stared at him, waiting for him to continue. You're leaving. He then smiled sadly at him. Why yeah, she said she wanted me back home. Oh, Izuku responded. Kaminari came closer and gave him a friendly hug. Just wanna say thank you for this long hospitality. He let go and gave off a chuckle. It was fun. Izuku looked at him with a dejected look in his eyes. To be honest, this was unexpected. Why yeah, he replied. All I'm trying to say is, I'm glad I've met you, Midoriya. Don't make it sound weird. I'm not, he said. I'm just glad, alright. Izuku laughed a bit in return. I'm just kidding. Kaminari smiled as he looked down to the ground. Man, if I have never met you, where would I be right now? Izuku smiled at him, feeling more sad only knowing the fact that the person who treated him like a brother and friend is leaving. He's not going to see him at home every day and make jokes which Izuku would always get pissed or laughed at it sometimes. No one was there to cheer him up anymore. It really was devastating to believe it, I know, right? He responded. Kaminari continued, all right, see you at school tomorrow. The other boy bid him farewell. See you too. Take care of yourself. I will. Good luck with Uraraka. The yellow-haired male waved at Izuku one last time before he departed. He chuckled alone in his room. The house seemed a lot quieter now. Izuku sighed in the silence filling the air and went straight to his bed as he lay down to rest. He then looked over to the photo of Ochako on his wall. He smiled quietly and stared at her. I'll be waiting. One last chapter RRRD, oh no. I also don't want this to end. Kax kakatka. Y'all, this Sunday is the end of this book. Do you guys want an epilogue? Hey. Also sorry if Kaminari's leaving is short and quick. Tisk tisk. I know it seemed rushed, sad face. Where stories live. Discover now.